In 1966, Ford brought us the Bronco. It was super popular. They had the small Bronco, the Bronco 2, the big Bronco. Well, then it disappeared, and now it has returned. Now we have covered the Bronco Sport, and we have covered the Bronco full line. This is the Bronco Wildtrak with a 2.7 liter motor, and there is a Bronco Raptor coming. We don't know much, but my guess is it's gonna have a big old V8 in it, and I'm really excited because they wanna go up against the Jeep market. So we're gonna go through this vehicle, you're gonna go for a ride, and let's take a closer look at the Wildtrak. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lauren Fix. This is the 2021 Ford Bronco. Now this is the full-size Bronco. I call it the big Bronco because it is. It's a lot bigger than the Sport, and it's a lot different, and it's certainly more capable. This is the Wildtrak. We'll go through some of the design details on this vehicle, what's under the hood, and a lot of other things. We're going to cover this vehicle in 10 different categories. And this vehicle has the Sasquash package, which is not just cool to say, but it's cool to have, and it's super capable, and we'll go through some of the details on that as well. If this is your first time to the channel, we give you a lot more than cool car reviews. We give you first looks of new vehicles, and we give you car smarts, because knowledge is power. Make sure to subscribe and click that little bell for notifications because you don't want to miss anything. And I'm telling you, this is a really hot vehicle, and we have a lot of amazing vehicles coming your way. Let's start off with under the hood. Under the hood of our Wildtrak is a 2.7 liter EcoBoost twin turbo V6 with 310 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, backed up by a 10-speed automatic transmission with 2 transfer cases. Fuel economy is between 18 and 20 miles to the gallon, depending upon how you're driving. And in the lower trim levels, you can get the 2.3 liter engine. I will tell you, there's nothing better than popping the hood of a vehicle and actually seeing the motor instead of a piece of plastic over the top that just traps in the heat. When you have a vehicle for a week like we do with this full-size Bronco, one of the things you start to realize is how this vehicle is to drive every day, but then maybe have a little bit of off-road fun. Now there is pretty good performance in this vehicle. 0 to 60 is 5.9 seconds. Listen to that motor. Love it. Pretty darn quick, I have to say. They do a really nice job. I have to say it's a pretty good motor, although I wish there was a V8. I keep saying that because Jeep offers a V8, and when you want power on the street, that's one thing you gain, but of course fuel economy is they go like this. It's like a magnet. As the speedometer goes up, the gas tank goes down. And I know there's going to be a hybrid version of these types of vehicles because that's what everybody's kind of moving to, whether you buy them or not, may not be the question. But as far as driving this thing on a daily basis, really good power. It's unbelievable. I had to make an aggressive maneuver to get around someone yesterday, and I'll tell you, I wish I had it on camera because this thing just launched. Now there is a little bit of a delay, and that's normal in an engine like this one, but overall, really impressed with this motor. Wish there was a V8. Again, 0 to 60 is only 5.9 seconds, which is pretty good. I mean, this is a pretty heavy vehicle, and it's really not designed for performance. It's designed to be an off-road vehicle that you can use every day, and I did take it to the grocery store and literally did all the normal things with it, and then a little bit of off-roading as well. We don't really have off-road courses around here, although I'm seeking one out for you. If you follow us on the channel, you'll know that sometimes I don't have an option, and sometimes I do. It just depends where we are. But as far as for performance for this vehicle, and by the way, there is a 2.3 liter engine available in the lower trim levels. Go with the big motor. Don't be weak. Go for the big motor. You can always use it or not use all of it. But either way, for performance, this vehicle earns a 9. Handling for the Bronco is super impressive. There is a GOAT mode, which means goes on all terrain. And there are 7 different terrain options, and that dial is right behind the shifter. And when you turn it, you get a whole little video, a little graphics package right in front of you to show you the different drive modes. If you're driving this thing around every day, the normal mode is more than enough. I've been driving it in the sport mode. Now there's also 2 transfer cases. So you've got 2 high, which is your regular 2-wheel drive, 4 low, 4 high, and 4A. So that allows you to move around the traction on the corners that you need based on where you are, what you're driving on. You're driving on sand, you're driving on the roadway, or whatever. So right now I'm driving around in the city. It's a bit loud in this car, but the decibel rating is exactly the same as that of the Jeep. So this has got the insulation package. I believe it's somewhere around 80 decibels, which doesn't mean much to the average person, but the sound is about the same. You can have a conversation with the person next to you, but you can still have a quiet ride. Not silent, but hey, this is a truck. It's got big, knobby, 35-inch tires, and that is part of the Sasquash package. Now, the Sasquash package is available on all the Broncos, which is nice. Whether you're buying a base and you're going to build it up yourself, you're buying a first edition, you want something that's more luxury, you'll have that all available to you. The one thing to note with this Sasquash package is you have 11.5 inches of ground clearance, which is great for off-roading, but also for those of you that want that higher ride height, oh, this is a much higher ride height. This vehicle actually reminds me a little bit of that Hummer H1. Not the ride, but just this higher appearance, this taller feeling. I actually like it. I think they did a really nice job. I could drive this thing every day on the road and then have some fun on the weekends, but it has towing capacity as well, which is a big part of owning a Bronco. With the optional Class 3 towing package, you have up to 3,500 pounds of towing, which is more than enough. That's your, small trailers, some 4x4s, snowmobiles, whatever it is you enjoy doing. Our test vehicle has the around view camera, which is good for on and off road. It also has trail control, and it really does do this. We have, like I said, driven these vehicles in the off-road class, and when you buy a vehicle like this Wildtrak, you get the class, which is either in 4 different areas around the country. We were at the one in Texas, but they're in different areas that you can learn to drive your car or one of their cars, so you can see the capabilities of the vehicle you just bought. Because a lot of times people buy these vehicles and they don't know. You bought it because it looked cool, or a sales guy told you there was a good deal on it, whatever it might be, or the sales girl. But the whole idea is that this vehicle has so much more capability than the average person even considers. If I didn't mention it during performance, you can get a manual transmission in the Bronco, and that is a plus. I believe I did mention it, but just in case I forgot, and the Jeep has that as well. Not available on the Land Rover, or if you decide to step up to a G-Wagon, it doesn't come that way. The brakes on this vehicle are really firm, they're very confident, and the handling of a vehicle of this height is actually really good on the roadway. You get good steering feedback. Although you get a lot of tire down on the ground, you really have a very confident feel. So if you're going to drive this every day, you're going to drop your kids off at soccer practice, you will be the coolest parent there, because this is a really awesome statement truck. It makes a statement, not a luxury statement, an awesome, cool truck statement. They did a really nice job. I'm super impressed with the handling on the road, because typically when you have a vehicle like this on the road, it's not great. Like, I'm not a fan of the Gladiator on the road. I really didn't like driving that on the road. I did, because I have to review these vehicles for you, but after driving literally everything, I have to say this Bronco really is the leader in the pack when it comes to driving it every single day. Now, there's a lot of upgrades to this system. I'm not even touching on the Bilstein shocks and all of the great upgrades that are on the Haas suspension components and so forth. But all of that is listed on the Ford website, and instead of repeating what they have, I'm going to give you some real-world experience, some real-world feedback, so that you can make a decision, is this the vehicle that I want? So you're looking at handling for this vehicle, both on-road and off-road, although our off-road today was kind of on the lighter side. This is a truly capable truck without any questions, and it is also running for North American Truck of the Year. This could be the winner. If I had to guess today, and we're talking about October 1st of 2021, I'm going to say this is the winner, but I don't know, because I'm only one of 50 jurors. I'm also on the World Car jury, and this is also running for the truck as well. So this has got a lot of awards already. I can see why. I'm really impressed. There's a lot of technology also. We'll talk about technology, we'll talk about safety next, and then we'll talk about some of the interfaces and some of the things that you would live with every single day. But when it comes to handling, with performance, handling brakes on your daily drive, whether it's light off-road or serious off-road, this vehicle definitely earns a 10. When it comes to safety, Bronco has really done some impressive things. All trim levels come with the Ford Co-Pilot 360 suite of active safety features, which includes a lot of things like Ford collision warning, automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitor, lane keep assist. And you can also add the Assist Plus, which is lane centering, adaptive cruise control, navigation, into traffic sign recognition. And from the Outer Banks trim level up, you can add additional safety features. And some of that comes in the mid or the high package, including the collision assist for emergency braking. So how do you access that? You go to Driver Assist. You press that. That's under features. And then you have cruise control, lane keeping assist, pre-collision warning, rear view camera, blind spot information, parking aids, cross traffic alert, and driver alert. Now here's the interesting thing. A lot of people shut these safety features off not knowing what they are. So if you go to the eye for information, it shows you a little video of what it is. And this says it helps prevent unintentional drifting out of the lane. Good to know. And it shows you the steering wheel input there. So that's really nice to know. So you can then turn it on or off. It has a lane keeping mode for the alert and the aid or the alert. I just want the alert for me. And you can change that however you want. Lane keep intensity, low, medium, or high. Now that's unusual. Most vehicles just have one setting, but this allows you from Ford to have that low, medium, or high. I think that's really important feature. I mean, pre-collision assist, again, you can say, I'm not really sure what that is. Well, it shows you. Turns alerts on, supports for forward collision sensing. That isn't part of the optional package. And again, you can turn it on and off. Distance indicator, again, shows the same type of thing. Evasive steering, you can have that on. So in other words, it provides support so you can steer out of the way rather than hitting that vehicle in front of you. I'm sure that's going to save you a lot. And this is part of the beginning of steps into autonomous safety. You have the parking sensor aids as well, front and rear on. You can set those how you want. Even on cross traffic alert, which you need on a vehicle this size, it just shows you where there's vehicles you don't see. And it truly does work because believe me, moving in and out of parking lots all the time, I always find that to be helpful. So you got front and rear cross traffic alert. So that's not just when you're backed into a spot or pushed forward into a spot. So all of that is part of it. You've also got the cruise control. There's a lot of features here, and each of them are explained, and I think that's really important. The fact that Copilot 360 is standard is impressive, and for this vehicle, it earns a 10. Looking out the front for visibility, you have a really high seating position so you can easily see the roadway. Now, the windshield is not gigantic, but it is long and it is easy to see where you're going. Of course, that's why you have mirrors and cameras, but this is one of the things that's important is where you're looking, especially when you're off-road. So this is a part of safety. Now, the sills are one of the things I always address when it comes to visibility. Is your arm up too high or too low? Well, this is the right height. Mind you, also, you can remove the doors and you got perfectly clear visibility. But for driving on the road on a daily basis, this is more than enough. Everything is really easy to see. There's no glare, which is nice, even though there's a decal on the front of the hood. We'll cover that in design. Now, looking out the back, you've got a lot of limitations from the headrest and the spare tire and such, but that's why there is a backup camera. When you put the vehicle in reverse, you get a pretty clear 360-degree camera. The around view camera is really crystal clear, but the rear view camera could be clearer. When you look at the competition, you have such great crisp pictures, and that's one of the things that's important, especially if you're off-roading. Is that a rock? Is that an animal? What the heck is it? Or is it a can that someone left? All these things are important. Or if you're just parking in a parking spot, am I in the lines? I want to see that clearly. Or even worse, God forbid, there's children behind you. You want to be able to see everything clearly. So they've done a really good job with visibility. I just wish that the backup camera was a little bit crisper, and that backup camera is located on the post where the rear view mirror is so that it actually sticks out and you get a really nice crystal clear picture. Just a little bit better compared to the competition. But overall, when you're looking at visibility for this vehicle, it earns a 9. When it comes to seating, the most important seat in the whole vehicle is right here, the driver's seat. You are driving this vehicle, and if you're not comfortable, it's never going to get more comfortable the longer that you own it. So it's important to note some of the details that I'm going to cover. Number 1, there is no adjustable height seat belts. A lot of vehicles, especially in this category of pricing, which is the mid-40s to mid-50s, this should be adjustable. And it may not be because of the roll cage that's built into this vehicle, which you don't see it here, but you see it further in the back. But either way, it's important that whatever driver's seat you're sitting in, we're all built differently. So you have to find what works for you. For me, I like lumbar. I want it to be a comfortable chair for a long drive because I typically don't do short runs. I typically do long drives, not just in test vehicles, but in every vehicle. Now, this vehicle seats 5 people. And the vehicle that we have and the trim level we have has regular adjustable seats. So it's 6-way on the driver's side and pretty much nothing on the passenger side. It's 4-way. You go back and forth and the seat rakes, and that is it. However, there is optional 10-way power driver's seat and 8-way power passenger seat, and it's available also in leather. We are sitting in the cloth seat, so as you look through the rest of this review, you'll see that we have a nice soft cloth seats that are recycled material. That's typically what Ford's doing these days, and it's also good for the environment. The seats are a bit higher, so it's sort of a stadium seating. So the front seats are just a little bit lower, and this means if you're sitting back here, you got kids back here, you can see. However, these headrests are a bit high, so you really can't see over so clearly, but you can see that gigantic 12-inch center screen that we're covering in technology. I do like that the windows are tinted in the second row and in the back. It's good for privacy, especially if you've got little ones back here. And there are 2 latch seats for child safety seats, 1 on each of the outboard seating. Now, in the door, there really isn't much because these doors come off. Again, there is a spot for lifting them off, and you can replace the doors. It's very modular, like Legos. I find that really, really cool because there are times you go, yeah, for off-roading, you want the vehicle to look like this. I guess it all depends on your budget. And the roofs come off for this as well. You'll note that there is no cup holders at all. So there is netting on the side of the doors, but as far as the center here, there is nothing. This is a 60-40 split seat, so you can put the seats down for more storage. And then behind the center console, it says no step, which I find it's odd. Why would you use that as a step? What are you doing? I mean, that makes no sense. Then you've got your window lifts here in the middle, as well as 2 different types of power outlets. So you've got USB-C, USB, and a regular 12-volt outlet. The seats themselves, they're okay. They're nice and tall. I do like that. So if you're tall, you got room for shoulders. This is really designed for 2 adults. I would not want to be the adult in the middle because you're not going to be very comfortable. But if you're smaller people or they're kids, you can get a third person here. Remember, there is no child safety seat for booster seats either. In the center, this would be someone who would use a regular seat belt, and the headrest goes up and down. I would keep it down if you're not having someone sit here on a regular basis. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable. They're kind of upright, and there's no heated seats back here, but then again, this is an off-road vehicle. But overall for seating, based on what we have here and what's available for the Wildtrak, it earns a 7. When you're looking at technology, this huge 12-inch screen is really impressive. Now, this is part of the high package. There is a smaller screen that is the base package, but it does include Sync 4, which is the newest state-of-the-art system. That's wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and has twice the computing power of the previous generation, so it is pretty good. In addition, you've got your 360-degree camera, so you can see. Don't hit that garbage can back there. So it's got all that, and you can make adjustments to how you want that adjust. Do you want just the backup? Do you want the around view? Or do you want this? So, and you can also zoom in. This is good for parking a trailer as well. So that's also part of the technology. The screen is good. We talked about that in visibility, but it's just good to know that that's part of the technology. Above the 12-inch screen is a mount for your GoPro, and I use that for the performance section. It's right here. There's a mount, and there's also a bar you can purchase as an aftermarket accessory that you can turn around and have cameras pointing you, cameras pointing out. All that can be done, and you can tie that into the accessory buttons, which are on the overhead console. Ford calls that BYOD, bring your own device. Pretty cool. So whether you want GoPro or you want DJI or some other brand, that works as well. Bang & Olufsen audio is in this car. This is on the premium line package, and also you can download maps, and this is fully updatable. In addition, in here, you've got your phone attachment, which is wireless, navigation system, which is pretty good. I mean, depending on what you're using it for. And then, of course, you've got all this information here on the left. On the apps, going to the right first, I decided to leave up the fuel economy to see what's going on. Of course, it's been idling. Your Bluetooth connection. Your navigation can be here if you want. Your audio. Your zone lighting, so you can do ambient lighting in different colors. That's in the settings. And also the off-road status. So if you're going off-road, the buttons that are above this, we'll talk about that in features in a second, can allow you to make those adjustments. And all these different features are right here. Now, there's another way to access the fuel economy. I love how they have a picture of the Bronco. Isn't that cool? A little picture of that. You can also hit this button, and that'll allow you to slide if you prefer, for your trips, for your phone. And it's pictures, so it's really easy. So you don't have to go back. See ambient lighting, the zone lighting, and then, of course, your off-road status, your fuel economy, your trip. So it just keeps flipping through. Really nice to have this. Everybody's got their own way how you want to set this up. You can find your mobile apps in here. That's for the Ford Pass app, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Going into settings, you get your wireless hotspot, your updates, of course, Ford Assist if you need it, and there's a valet mode so that no one has a Ferris Bueller's Day Off with your vehicle. That would not be good. Driver assistance, we just talked about this in safety. Zone lighting, you can make all your adjustments there. And then in addition to that, towing. This is big. The trailer tow sway control is on, but also you get a checklist. So you can say, yes, I'm doing something conventional, and it reminds you of all the steps you need, connecting the lock and ball, making sure there's electrical connections, which are built in. The harness is there. Chains, super important. I've done a lot of work with the trailer towing. Chains are like critical to protecting you. The emergency breakaway switch, to ensure that the lights work. All of this is part of the process. Raising the tongue jack, removing the wheel chocks. I'm sure people have done that. Adjust your mirrors accordingly. So all that is done as a little checklist. Nice to have, especially if you're like having someone work with you. And then you can also hit this button here and flip everything. And you can flip it again. So if that's not what you want this. So all of this is available right here. This is the screen we talked about in handling. So when I change drive modes on the GOAT mode, which we'll talk about in features, you can see that it changes the drive mode. And each one, normal to eco, changes the colors. Okay, that's for 4-shift. Let me just hit the OK. Sport mode. See, it changes the earth that's in the center. Isn't that cool? Love it. And then you've got your slippery mode, ice. I love how it's showing ice and water. And then you've got mud and ruts. So when you go into that mud and rut mode, it also shows you that it changes to off-road use. So you can see the difference in the percentages for the differentials. Then going to the next mode is sand. So it shows sand. And then Baja mode. And the Baja mode's pretty cool. And again, it shows you all those off-road settings that you're going to need and gives you some direction, because a lot of times people want to do it or they go with their buddy and they still don't know how to use it. And so this allows you to show you some pretty basic things. When you're looking at technology for this vehicle, it is pretty impressive, but you have to compare it to the Jeep and the Uconnect system, which is a little bit more intuitive and also works just a touch better. But for technology, this vehicle earns a 9. When you're looking at features, there are different trim levels to the Bronco. You get your base, Big Bend, Black Diamond, Outer Banks, which adds a technology and style, Badlands for the ultimate off-road, and the Wildtrak, that's this vehicle, the Desert Runner, and the First Edition, which is a special edition combining all of the best features. Now this is personalized, so you can remove the doors, the roof, it's got a retractable soft top. I mean, you can get a winch, and it's actually crash tested with the winch. The cap comes off, and wherever you see the Bronco bolt, it's a bolt that has the Bronco logo, this Bronco logo in it, that means it's removable or replaceable. Now the doors, when you do take them off, are stored in bags in the trunk. There are 200 plus factory accessories available, and it's backed by the dealer. So they'll add it on, they can put it on for you, like a Warren Lynch or ARB, Rigid, Yakima. There's a ton of brands. You can even remove the bumpers if you want. They're completely modular. Now there are 10 exterior colors available, and you'll note the Bronco logo is here and not a Ford logo. On the left side, you've got some safety features that you can adjust in your audio, and of course different information on distance. Very easy soft button controls. This button on the right side allows you to change information in front of you. So you've got trip, fuel, you can do whatever you want. Press the button, use the up and down, off-road, navigation, phone, settings, and it flips through, or you can do my view. That's what I want in this case, and that's my view. I picked fuel economy, the gas gauge. Of course, I've got the speedometer and an actual speedometer on your left. So they really thought about this. I do like the big beefy wheel. It's soft, it's easy to use, and this is tilt telescopic. On the left side of the steering wheel is a vent as well as a grip. This is good for getting you in and out of the vehicle. Further down you have your lighting controls and your hood release. In the door you have your lock and unlock and some storage. Where are the window lifts? The window lifts are located here below the glove box. This is your lock, your window lifts as you would typically see them on the door. They're here for a reason for both sides, because you take the doors off. And that also means your mirror adjustment is here as well. This is your start-stop button. Does this design look familiar to you? We'll cover that in design, but it does look like the headlight and the daytime running light because it was designed that way. Very cool, well thought out, and very intuitive. Above the 12-inch screen is your locks for your differentials. The front, the rear, this is for each wheel, and then traction control and your emergency signals, all right here. And they're all rubberized. And the idea for that is that it's easy to clean, and that includes the materials. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of plastic. I'll talk about that in quality, but there's more storage up front as well. And then you put that accessory bar here. There's also a power outlet right there, if you can see at the top, and I'm pointing to it, but it's right on top. It's good for a radar detector or if you got to plug something in and charge it. We talked about that 12-inch screen. There's vents on each side, and in front of the passenger, you've got the Bronco logo embossed and another grip all the way to the right. Below the center screen, you've got your volume and tuning controls, and I really appreciate these not being buttons, but really easy to use, and my favorite button to shut off the auto off. Drives me crazy personally. In addition, you've got your climate control here. Very normal 3-stage heated seats are here, and a single-stage heated steering wheel. Below the climate control is USB-C and a USB charging port, and this is a wireless charger right there. Right there. Below that is a Ford badge, and it tells you the information on the vehicle. Really nice to have that available, although it's available in other spots of the vehicle. It's nice. Also, there's grips here, a grip on the passenger side. You can call that an OSH blank 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 grip because sometimes people need that. 2 cup holders, and this is your shifter. And for trailer towing, you've got an up and down, or if you're using it for off-road to change your gears, Bronco logo, not a Ford logo. We talked about this in handling. This is your GOAT mode. This is the dial you turn to change your modes, whether it's normal or eco or sport. That is your dial. That's your 2 high, 4 low, 4 automatic. It just depends what mode you're in. Besides the accessories that you can add on, there are buttons so you can program them to turn on lights, driving lights, a winch, whatever you want to do. Very nicely thought out thinking. We'll have 6 extra buttons for 6 extra accessories. All of the Wildtraks also have a removable roof. Just pull down that lever and the roof can detach and you can store that in the trunk. There are bags back there for that. Lots of great features in this vehicle. Overall, when you're looking at features for this vehicle, there is just so much and so well thought out. For features, this vehicle earns a 10. When it comes to design, I am really impressed with the Bronco. They did it right. Now, there are different trim levels in the Sport and in the regular full-size Bronco. This is the Wildtrak. This is the top-of-the-line off-road. If you want more luxury, you want to look at the first edition. If you're looking for real off-road capability, they all have it, but this is the top of the line that's designed for the off-road. Starting from the top, you'll notice this pretty flat hood, and because of that, Ford has put a Wildtrak sticker on the hood, and what that does is it's all matte black and it cuts the glare, which you could get off of a shiny hood. So that's one of the things that also makes it everyone know I'm driving a Wildtrak. You've also got tie downs here that are good for 150 pounds on each side, and it's a really nice flat hood. Going further down, you have this gloss black grille with the white logo, and right in the middle there is your forward camera, and that's good for off-roading because you don't want to hit a big boulder or something that could cause damage to the vehicle or find yourself stuck. There are skid plates underneath, and that's part of the handling we discussed. One of the design cues I wanted to note to you was a horizontal line and this round headlight. That is the same appearance, that same look as the start-stop button, and that is something we covered in features. Further down, you got all matte black, really easy to clean. You can hose it off, you can scrub it, and you're not scratching any paint. And then you'll notice that you've got driving lights here. There are 2 tow hooks in the front and there is 1 in the back. All of this is functional. There is no fooling around with this vehicle. This is a really serious truck. You'll also notice that the skid plates are sloped down because this is designed for off-road. You notice that same type of design on the Jeep and also on the Land Rover, which are direct competitors. This is where the rubber meets the road. Starting down here, you've got 35-inch tires on 17-inch wheels, and you can get the beadlock rims. So if you want to do that, that can be done at the dealer. This is the Sasquash package. This is what everybody's talking about. And it's also cool to have that little logo on your vehicle. It's just a little Sasquatch, because no one really knows what it looks like. It's just some big hairy thing anyhow. If you got a clue what it is, you can put that down below. We only know a little bit. One of the things that also comes along with this vehicle is these really aggressive wheel flares. I like them. They're almost my hand size. They're pretty huge. And this is meant to protect the body, but also you can put those bigger tires underneath. So if you want to put an aftermarket tire and wheel package underneath, you can do that. And we talked about some of the suspension components, and you can see why this is lifted up as it is. You've got your Wildtrak logo, and these mirrors, they fold in easily, especially if you need to clear a tree or something and you're out on the trail. In addition, one of the things you do need, I'm 5'8", and sometimes it's difficult to get in some of these really high trucks, but a running board is always good, especially if you're shorter than I am. I have a lot of friends that love these big trucks, and they're 5 feet tall. Running board comes from the factory. You can get an aftermarket one as well. Excellent. Then you've got your regular controls for entering the vehicle. Nice flat. You know what this reminds me of? A little bit of a G-Wagon look. It almost has those flat, square windows like the G-Wagon has. It's not a G-Wagon. It's certainly less price. The removable top comes standard with the Wildtrak. You just pull the levers in front, the tops come off. If you have the time, you can actually take the whole back cap off and make this a real safari-looking vehicle. I think that's pretty cool. You'll also notice the word Bronco is embossed into the running boards. As you work your way back, get your regular doors, and by the way, these doors come off. And on the door itself, inside, when you open the door, there's a spot that says lift, so you know where to put your hand when you disconnect it. And there's a whole procedure, pretty easy to do, and you can actually take this off and put aftermarket doors on. They have all these mods. You can say, I like the vehicle this way, but I want to put different doors. Or I don't want front doors, I want these rear doors. And it's all designed for that, because typically when you take the doors off, you have no protection. This has a full roll cage built inside. So they really thought about what's going to be used. It's used for the street, it's used for off-road, and they've kind of made a good combination all the way around. As you come around to the back, again, of course, you got these aggressive wheel flares. You got to have it all the way around. The one thing you will note is these taillights. They are the letter B. And when you hit these LED taillights, you can see the B for Bronco. It's right in here. It's not plain and in your face, but it is a cool design element. There's also little Easter eggs all over the vehicle, little lassos or little Broncos. And you will note that there is only one Ford logo. It is here on the back. They've kept it really clean, making Bronco its own brand line. Now, I can't wait to see the Bronco Raptor. It's going to look really beefy and muscular, much like the Raptor truck, which I have reviewed, and you can check that out up here. That we took on some off-road runs. What a blast that was. Now, opening this rear end, opens up this way. It does have a really strong arm on it, so you can stop it halfway, and it doesn't swing open. Then you can open the glass. As I was saying, part of the design elements is you can remove this whole back cap area. There's a disconnect here for the electrical, and then you just use a screwdriver, a power screwdriver, take it off, and it lifts right off. You'll need 2 people to do it. The design of this is really creative, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in cargo, because you can put a lot of stuff back here. There's no question that a spare tire is included, because if you get stuck on a trail, you need a tire. At the end of the post that holds the spare tire is the rear camera, so you can get a full view around this vehicle. You'll note the Bronco logo is here. Really nicely, cleanly done. The wiper's here, and it's a safer place for it to be than at the top. Like sometimes I ask for it to be tucked under the wing. One other design note you want to know is that this has a regular antenna instead of those blade antennas. And the reason for that is Ford interviewed a bunch of people that use these vehicles for off-road, and they said, what do you listen to in the vehicle when you're on the road? And most of them said AM and FM radio. So that means that they had to put a regular antenna in, because that blade antenna is best for satellite. Now, if you're listening to your own music, it doesn't make a difference. So that's why Ford put a regular antenna on this vehicle. And it's a little bit of a retro throwback. When it comes to design for this vehicle, there's lots of cool design cues. I didn't go through every single detail. So much on this truck. I'm super impressed. It earns a 10. When it comes to quality for the Bronco, overall the materials are top of the line. They have partnered in with big brands that you know and you love, from Bang & Olufsen and so forth. It has a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, and the drivetrain has a longer warranty. Now, one of the things that bothered me was a lot of hard plastic inside. Now, I know it makes it easier for you to clean, but like the center console where you rest your arm was actually like rubberized. Now, if you're using this for off-road, you probably do want that. But if you're using this as a daily driver and it's in the middle of summer, you might burn your arm. So you really kind of have to look at the details. When it comes to quality, this vehicle really is strong and earns a 9. When it comes to cargo for this vehicle, there are lots of options, including getting roof racks. But pull this arm and you've got this big door, but inside you have 22.4 cubic feet of storage. You can open the glass if needed. In addition, there's a 12-volt outlet, there is LED lights, and there are lots of little Easter eggs. There's a Bronco logo between the lights. Underneath this Bronco mat, you'll notice some tie downs here that have little lassos, in other words, to lasso it down, very cute. Underneath this cover is the jack for the spare tire on the back, and there's some additional storage here if you need it for tie downs, for anything you need, ropes, whatever it is you're doing in your off-road excursions. There's tons of storage back here as well. This is a lot of storage, and you fold that second row down, there's even more. So you could turn this into a camper bed very easily. You could put all your gear in back. And one thing to note is if you take the doors off or you take the roof off, you can store it here in the back. There's enough room to store all of that. Now this cap, on the other hand, you probably have to leave that in your garage or some safe place. But the idea is you can take the doors off and place them here in the back. And yeah, there's enough room. Really well thought out about who's using this. Remember, there are over 200 accessories available. If you want to buy a Bronco and you don't want all these goodies and you want to build it yourself, you can get into a base Bronco into the mid-20s. But if you want this Wildtrak loaded up with all the goodies as we've been talking about today, it ranges between $46,000 to $58,000, and that's because you can buy the mid-level or the high-level pack. Our vehicle is filled with the high-level pack, but you can also get power seats, leather seating surfaces, cloth seat. There's a ton of options. It's the way things used to be ordered. You pick what you want, you build it. And if you don't see it, you can get it over the counter from Ford, and you can put that into the lease, which not a lot of other manufacturers are doing. So I give them a ton of credit for that. Now, when you compare this to the Jeep, you've got the Rubicon, or you're talking about one of the other Wranglers out there, or even a Land Rover, you have to look at the price point, what you're getting for your money, what's the capability. Overall, for this vehicle, based on price for these cars in this deep category, and it's kind of deep because these people that are into these cars, you guys know what you're looking at. You know what you're talking about. You either have a Jeep or a Land Rover or old Bronco, and so you know this business well. This is your life. People love these cars, not just driving around to be cool, but they're dead serious about it, and I don't blame them, because this is a ton of fun to drive. And we had to drive it for a week, and I just fell in love with this truck, and I usually like all the luxuries, but you know what? I kind of like this truck just the way it is. When it comes to pricing, this vehicle earns a 9. Now, there are a lot of positives to this vehicle. This 2.7-liter engine has a ton of power, and I had to use it to pass a person who was in the middle of getting into a bad situation. And this just took off and went. Really impressed with the power. Nice off-road capabilities, although we don't have massive off-road rock quarries to drive in. I wish we did, because I would take this thing there in a heartbeat. I got to take you out to the gypsum mine, where we usually get to do a little bit of off-road testing. But the vehicle itself has very little negatives. The only thing I think of is I wish it had just a few more options. Nothing serious, and some hard seating surfaces. On the negative side, there's no V8 yet, although the Bronco Raptor, I'm excited, should have one. And that's something that we're looking forward to. It is a little bit more expensive than the Jeep, and the Uconnect system, that is the interface that's on the Jeep, is actually a little bit more easier to use, and it has a lot more layers of different things available. But again, the Sync 4 system is really top of the line. So there really isn't a lot of negatives to this vehicle other than trying to get one, because everybody's trying to order these and the dealers know that. When you're adding up the total of all 10 categories, you have to look at how this vehicle competes with the other vehicles, which we have reviewed at Car Coach Reports. It's available in English and Spanish, so you want to check that out. This 2021 Ford Bronco Wildtrak earns a 92. That is a really high score. Now we've got additional pictures and off-road information that we've put on our social media, all platforms at Lauren Fix. You can ask your questions down below in the comments. I will get you answers, because sometimes I have to contact Ford for something very specific because I know you're a specific customer. You can also ask me questions on Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe if you got value from this video, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for joining us.